Once upon a time, Elara was exploring her grandmother's attic, a place filled with old memories and forgotten treasures. While searching through dusty boxes, she came across an ancient book hidden beneath a pile of old quilts. The book was bound in cracked leather, with strange runes glowing faintly on the cover. She felt an irresistible pull to open it, and as she turned the cover, the pages began to shimmer, and suddenly a vortex of dark energy emerged, engulfing her. The world around Elara twisted and warped, and she was pulled into a swirling darkness. When she awoke, she found herself lying on the ground of an unfamiliar, eerie landscape. The sky was an unnatural shade of deep crimson, and dark, gnarled trees loomed over her, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching out. The air was heavy, filled with an unexplainable sense of dread. She quickly realized that this was no ordinary place. It was a world of magic, but it was dark, corrupted, and dangerous. Elara stood up, her heart pounding as she took in her surroundings. Strange creatures skittered through the shadows, creatures that seemed to be made of mist and darkness. She felt fear well up inside her, but her curiosity pushed her forward. She knew she needed to find a way back home. As Elara made her way through the twisted forest, she encountered a strange figure perched on a low branch, a spirit named Nyx. Nyx was half human, half bird, with black feathers for hair and eyes that seemed to shift colors as they observed her. Nyx looked amused by Elara's presence and introduced herself with a mischievous smile. "You don't belong here, do you?" Nyx asked, her voice melodic yet unsettling. Elara shook her head, explaining how she had found the book and was pulled into this strange world. Nyx chuckled and told Elara that she was in the Cursed Realm, a place ruled by the dark and powerful Shadow King. The only way to leave, Nyx claimed, was to face the Shadow King himself and obtain the key to the portal that could take her back home. With no other choice, Elara agreed to let Nyx guide her to the Shadow King's castle. Along the way, Nyx shared stories of the Cursed Realm, a once beautiful magical world that had fallen under the Shadow King's control. The land was now filled with dark magic, and the people who lived there had either fled or become twisted versions of themselves, their spirits consumed by fear. As they journeyed through dark forests, misty swamps, and abandoned villages, Elara noticed how Nyx would sometimes disappear, only to reappear at random times, often with a knowing smile. Nyx seemed to have her own motives, and Elara wasn't entirely sure if she could be trusted. However, Elara also felt that Nyx was her only hope of finding the castle. Finally, they reached the Shadow King's fortress, a towering black castle with spires that pierced the crimson sky. The castle seemed alive, with shadows moving across its walls, whispering dark secrets. Nyx led Elara inside but refused to go further, warning her that the Shadow King's power was too strong beyond this point. "Remember," Nyx said, her eyes flashing an eerie shade of green, "the Shadow King thrives on fear. Be brave, or you'll become one of his shadows." Elara took a deep breath and entered the throne room. The Shadow King sat on a grand throne made of dark stone, his hollow eyes glowing as they focused on her. His presence was overwhelming, filling the room with a sense of hopelessness. "Why have you come here, child?" the Shadow King asked, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. Elara, mustering all her courage, spoke boldly. "I want the key to leave this place. I don't belong here." The Shadow King laughed, a cold, bone-chilling sound. "No one leaves the Cursed Realm unless they can conquer their own fears," he said, and with a wave of his hand, the shadows in the room began to take form, shadows of Elara's deepest fears, losing her loved ones, being alone, and failing those who depended on her. The shadows moved towards her, and Elara felt her heart pounding, fear creeping into her mind. But then she remembered Nyx's words, the Shadow King thrived on fear. If she let fear. Closing her eyes, Elara took a deep breath. She thought of her grandmother, of the stories she used to tell her about courage and love. She thought of all the adventures she dreamed of, and how she couldn't let fear hold her back. Slowly, she opened her eyes, and with determination, she faced the shadows, refusing to let them intimidate her. As her fear faded, the shadows began to dissolve, and the Shadow King's grin turned into a scowl. The room brightened slightly, and the Shadow King, now weakened, reluctantly handed Alara a glowing key. "You may have won this time, child," he said, his voice dripping with malice, "but the cursed realm will always be a part of you." Alara took the key and quickly left the throne room. Nyx was waiting for her at the entrance, a curious smile on her face. "Well done, little adventurer," she said, her tone softer now. With Nyx's help, Alara used the key to open a shimmering portal that appeared before them. Before stepping through, Alara looked back at Nyx, who simply nodded. "Perhaps we'll meet again," Nyx said, her eyes twinkling with mystery. Alara stepped through the portal, and in an instant, she found herself back in her grandmother's attic, the ancient book lying closed at her feet. The attic was quiet, and everything seemed normal again, but Alara knew that the cursed realm was real, and the experience had changed her forever. She picked up the book, carefully placed it on a high shelf, and decided that maybe, just maybe, there were some stories best left unread.